Okay, I'm having a bit of a struggle here. It's been so long since I've streamed that most of the stuff doesn't work anymore. So I'm trying to set up my Twitch chat again. I guess hopefully this will work. I can go. I have no idea if the music is too loud. I have no idea if anything is working right. Okay, it looks like it's all connected and good to go. At least the Twitch chat. See if this goes. Nope, it's still dead. Man, it's been too long since I've done this. You're gonna have to give me a hot minute. So good. All that should be correct. A test message. Yep, that's it. That is a test message, but it's not working here. Look for a local file. PHP. Huh. Well, it doesn't look like it wants to work on there, but I guess I'm gonna have to get that figured out first, and I guess you guys are gonna get to watch me figure it out first. It looks like everything's set up properly on there. Who's a what's it's? So that's a little bit weird. Hopefully, yeah, like all of that worked. It's all connected, but for some reason, it's not working in here, and I don't remember how to get it to work. I guess, that does look like it's what I want. Do I have to stop OBS and start it back up again? I mean, there's a possibility. I wonder if I can just make a chat dealy. No, I can't do that. It's been so long. Oh my goodness. What can I do here? Because it's showing that the chat is like black. It's dead. Doesn't want to work. Sending a test message. That doesn't work. I did download a new one, but I don't think it works properly. I guess this will just have to be the way it looks today, and I will figure it out another day. That's that. That works. How to install updates? No. No clue. I suppose that's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and get to work on the thing. If the chat's not showing up, the chat's not showing. So, boom, boom. It's at a weird angle because I realized that my camera setup is funky already, so me having it at a weird angle is not going to change anything. But what I have been working on is this lad right here. And rather than making him just the straight black that Abaddon normally is, I decided to go ahead and give him kind of a Luna Wolves color. So he's got, oh no, it's chugging. He's got definitely more color on him. And he's coming in really bright because of the lights that I'm using, but that's going to be okay. What I want to do is actually I want to tone down some of the dark so they go back more to the black, the really dark colors, but I also want to bring the highlights up so he's like obscenely bright in some of these highlights. So that's what's happening. The way I did this was actually kind of weird, at least for me, because using some unorthodox colors to get there. I'm using a scale 75 color, which is, I don't know if you can read that, deep blue. And then I'm using just flat green, and I'm mixing these together, and that got me the Dark Sons of Horus color. And then I'm using Ahriman blue to brighten it back up, and I'm eventually going to use light gray for the highlights. So that's kind of the plan. Let's see if I can continue doing that while I'm working. It has been a while since I have streamed because I have been busy. My hours have not permitted it, and I'm tired. So it's kind of good to be back. Hopefully the music audio is not too low, though it does seem like it. I'll find a way to balance it at some point, but right now it's gonna stay how it is. Might actually need to change the camera. Figure that out some. Okay. It's green. We'll see how this goes. There it goes. For some reason, the green dropper bottle always tends to clog really badly, and I have no idea how to fix that. Into the highlight color, and then I'll eventually have to go back and I'll start working on the golds and some of the other stuff. Okay, that's good there. I think, though, given the complexity of this guy and where he's going, I'm probably going to need to switch to a much finer brush, because right now I'm still using this old beat-up Citadel brush, which it doesn't actually look like I cleaned it very well last time. But it's been getting me some decent results. Oh yeah, and I need to get some airbrush thinner or flow improver, because that really helps with making the paint flow better. So let's mix some of this together, the green and the blue, and make that dark Sons of Horus green. Unfortunately, I don't have my palette camera set up, but it'll be what it'll be. And then I'll mix in some of this Thousand Suns, and that'll bring it up some brightness a little bit. It'll bring up the brightness a little bit. I seem to have forgotten how to talk since I was last here. But, go ahead and start mixing. That is really nice and dark. So let's see, where can I put this where it'll make the most sense? Let's see, can't even see the legs. There we go. It actually looks like it did a pretty good job of fading crosswise. I'm just going to go ahead and start blending it back into that darker color. Right now it's got kind of a chunky transition, which I'm not overly fond of. I would eventually like for it to have more of a smooth transition to it, so that way it looks absolutely peak when I eventually submit this for a painting competition, which is kind of the plan with a model of this caliber. And I know at this point Abaddon's kind of old news, but he is a really good model. And actually, I think maybe down here, because I'm again getting some weird color stuff going on. Right. Part of the big problem I've had is like trying to remain systematic with him, because he's got so many moving parts, and it's just like I want to work on all of it, and I want to hit it as I see it, but that's actually dangerous because then I forget where I am really quickly. Okay, let's mix some of this further away so I can start making the lighter stuff. There's more green and blue. That's going to create the Sons of Horus green that I'm looking for. Like really dark foam green that I use kind of as a shade. And then I'm going to mix in some of the Araman blue. Going to do a really good job of lightening it up so that it gets more of that aqua color to it for the highlight. And then I'm going to mix in some of this gray, which will give it the real highlight. As I'm using this light gray, it's actually almost a white. And what that'll do is it'll give me a really nice highlight color for the very edges where... I know, it's been a while. I haven't had time. Ever since I stopped doing the teaching thing and finally got a new job, it's been working me crazy hours, so I just really haven't had time to actually sit down and stream. I haven't had the energy. But what I'm doing right now is working on this guy for a painting competition that's happening this weekend. And I'm just kind of hoping I can finish it. How have you been? I finally have another job that's going to start paying me a somewhat livable wage again. And that feels awesome. Get that there. A little bit more. Then take a little bit... Wow, that doesn't really highlight like I hoped it would. So I think I'm going to have to find something else to do to really bring out some of the highlights in the armor, because I really want him to pop, even on like a darker tabletop. Finished your Talon Bretonians. Very nice. Yeah, I've managed to do a lot of like independent painting, but I just never really have enough time to sit down and hook up the streaming apparatus. Or like the spoons to do it, you know what I mean? Because even though it is just talking in front of a camera, it feels like a lot of work. And I'll be honest, like half the stuff doesn't work on the stream right now. It's pretty cooked, which is why like there's no chat window because I just can't figure out how to get it to work again. So if I'm able to continue streaming, first of all, it might be down to like once a week because Tuesdays are going to be the only nights where I'll actually have time. If my wife continues with D&D. But also, I'm going to have to figure out how to do all that stuff again. Because like I said, everything's kind of broken. And yeah, this light gray really is bringing it out, at least on here, but it's definitely not showing up like I'd like it to. So I might have to switch up to an actual closer to white to really make the highlights sing on Abaddon over here. So I gotta say, this model's freaking awesome. It really makes me want to do like a Chaos chapter in Sons of Horus Green. Because it's just such a good looking color. Okay. Gonna hit some of these angles a little more to get off more light. But yeah, I got a job. I think I mentioned this in one of my last streams because I believe I had just gotten employed by them. But I got a job working with Best Buy. And I worked at the Geek Squad. I still do, but I got hired by the Geek Squad, and I think I was just starting the job when I last streamed with the custodians and whatnot. But it's been about 4 months, and I already managed to find another job. I'm actually working with the city of the city government that I live with, or that I live in, and now I'm doing level 1 tech support there. And I don't actually start the job until September 3rd, but they've already had me sign the contract and everything, so I'm pretty locked and loaded in terms of that job. I think I'm going to use a whiter white. I'm curious a whiter white is going to brighten these up even more, because I really want the highlights to be high highlights. Like, I followed a tutorial on getting the cloak to look mostly like leather, which I don't know how well it's showing up in the video feed, but I think I got a pretty good job making it look very, very leathery. And so I'm hoping that kind of freehanding it with the armor, I can get an equally impressive looking contrast. Yeah, that's the kind of seafoam. Posted some pics in the showcase. Oh boy, I don't even know if I can get it to work on this. Oh, look at those guys. Very nice. Give me a second. I think I can do this. In window capture. Where'd it go? No, that's not gonna work. I'm gonna have to do it this way. So, open in browser. And then, window capture. Nope. Window capture. There we go. Window capture. Yeah, those look fantastic. I love the color choices, too. I can't tell because my glasses are off, but if red and blue or orange and blue, that looks really good together. Man, I really want to get back into Tau. I kind of got away from them just because they were my first paint job and I wasn't super proud of how they turned out. But now that I'm a better painter, I'd love to try and go back and do them. Yeah, the red and blue looks really good. Of course, these elves look fantastic. I saw the dwarves, and now I have an extreme desire to get into the old world. But, again, money is a situation here. I love how you did the banners. Those are really cool. Yeah, those look fantastic. Hello, how's it going? You do arrive. And I will continue painting this lad. I don't know what happened with my stream setup, but it is pretty thoroughly cooked. So, some of the stuff doesn't work, like chat definitely doesn't work, and I guess that's okay. That's something I'll have to figure out if I'm going to continue streaming, because my ability to do so is going to be severely hampered by my general energy levels. Yeah, he's a pretty cool character. I appreciate how he generally starts off as just kind of this no-nonsense follow Horus guy, and then slowly gains his own identity. He is a neat character. And I forgot you were reading the Heresy books. When I was going back to look for the last time I posted a link to stream, I saw that you had started Horus Rising back in April. You're getting the dwarf's gonna get perhaps the Grombendal model as a theme. Yeah. I love how they look. I love how the old world dwarves look. They're like all beard and limb and muscular limbs, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. Like, you can see hints of body there. I just finished Flight of the Eisenstein. That's the one that covers the Istvan atrocity from the view of the Death Guard. And even though that's not a super stellar book, it's one of my favorites. I really liked Flight of the Eisenstein. It's what made me a Death Guard stan. But yeah, I just bought the Scaventide box, and that's all the money I'm going to have for the foreseeable future. So, I'm going to be doing a lot of painting of those once I finish Abaddon. Taking a Horus Heresy break, thinking of the Infinite Divine. From what I understand, the Infinite and the Divine is a great book. I had a friend who tried to read it. He said it got very cumbersome in some spots. And that they used, like, I guess I'll call it human slang in really weird places. But, you know, that's all opinion. I have yet to read The Infinite and the Divine. I have a feeling I'd like it, because it's very silly. But, I just haven't really had time to do much reading. I did finish The End and the Death Part 2. And, I've come to the conclusion that, Jonathan Keeble can, basically read a phone book at me, and I'll be entertained, because that man just has an incredibly silken voice. And if I remember right, you're also doing the audiobook, so you got to listen to Toby Longworth read the first 3 books, and then you got to listen to Jonathan Keeble do Flight of the Eisenstein. It might just be that he made that book super readable for me. Eisenhorn is really good. It's read by Toby Longworth again, and he adds so much to Eisenhorn. And it's also kind of cool seeing a lot of that stuff from humanity's perspective after being with Space Marines for so long with the Horus Heresy. Okay. I don't remember if the Grey Knights actually got any good books or any of note. So if you managed to find one, kudos to you. Okay. Now, the biggest thing for me is, again, just trying to figure out where to put these highlights, because I don't want to make them too chunky. And one of the biggest problems I'm having, kind of as I'm doing this, is just that he's such a, you know, he's such a large fellow, and there's so much to him that could be highlighted. But it's like, I don't want to make it look too over the top. I just want it to read better, because right now there's a very subtle shift from the darker greens up to the lighter greens, and I'd love for that to work, but also have like an extremely heavy highlight. Like, I want him to really look like he's shining on the tabletop. Which I guess means a lot more work on my end to try and figure this out. I don't know why they don't do more with Drago. Maybe they threw him into the warp so they didn't have to deal with him. Possibly. I mean, Drago, if I recall right, is relatively old lore. And so they're probably trying to step away from that. Like I said, I don't remember when a lot of the Grey Knights books were written. I just know that it seems like I don't hear much about them in modern day. I know for a fact that they were mentioned during kind of the wind down of Ninth Edition, because they were important to the wind down of Ninth Edition and Angron's return. But I don't remember much about them. Okay. Go ahead and make this as bright as possible. Especially since this is most likely going to have a very red inside, as opposed to the black it is right now. Okay. I hope I'm not overdoing it with some of these highlights. Because I don't know how they're showing up on the webcam that I'm using. But especially with the light I'm in right now, maybe they goof with the Drago beating Mortarion and they're trying to sweep it under the rug. That could be part of it. I mean, they did kind of half reference it with Chaos Gate Demon Hunters, since a squad of them do fight Mortarion and presumably win. Because that does feel like a pretty big ask. And Mortarion kind of has had the short end of the stick for a little while now, which I get. But just because he's an easy villain. But at the same time, it's like, come on, guys, relax a little bit. Stop making him look so weak. Okay, I can go brighter than that. Found an interesting fact. What's that? What fun factoid did you find? Okay. It's illegal to laugh your head off in Hawaii? That's very odd. I wonder if it has to do with, like, a courtesy thing. Like in Japan, they have a general, you know, don't talk loudly in the train type deal. Okay, this feels like I've gone too light. I want to see some more. You're only allowed aloha. That's funny. I dig it. I want some more Grey Knight and Thousand Sons lore. It's the two Psyker boys going at it. From what I understand, there is definitely an inbred, an in-baked rivalry between the two, because the Thousand Sons were supposed to be like Magnus's replacement chapter after he would have been forced to off the Thousand Sons, you know, like put them down. But I don't know. That aloha thing, it's sticking with me. That's really funny. I like that. Okay, hopefully. I'm probably going to have to clean this up off stream, because unfortunately with the angle that I'm painting, I can't really see what I'm doing too well. Okay, that's definitely looking better in a lot of places, though. And then I'm going to, like, turn off the studio light and look at it and go, oh my god, what have I done? He looked so good, and then he didn't. Okay. See if I can get this again without making too much of a mess. Unfortunately, the claws are in the way, but very gently try and get some highlighting in there. Yeah, those claws chowing down on some taco salad before getting ready to throw it down with Bellacore at the paint table. That sounds like a good idea. I have no idea how you're going to paint that Bellacore. He is some kind of monster. I wouldn't even attempt that without, like, an airbrush. So kudos to you for trying to do it all by hand. Okay. Hey, Distracted Senpai, good to see you. Have you always had the fist logo on your little frog, or did you add that? I've always had the fist logo on there. Yeah, Distracted. I don't think I've seen you here before, but welcome. My whole setup is kind of cooked because it's been a little while since I've worked on it. And I kind of forgot how to do half the things since I think the last time I streamed was in April, and then I got really busy with the job that I had, that I have. So everything's a little bit funky and low tech right now. But I am working on this guy, and I am trying to get some really good highlights on him so that he'll really stand out when I put him in a competition. Because I want to win a ton of paints. So we'll see how this looks when he's all done. I think he's turning out pretty good. But yeah, I always, going back to what you were asking, Wamidova, I've always had the Imperial fist on the t-shirt of my little avatar guy because I like the Imperial Fist, and I was like, that's the one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to stencil this in. And when I first showed my attempt at doing a Vipo to Doigan Swift, I remember them being fairly impressed with like the pockets and the stitching on the jacket until they found out that I did it all with a trackball, and then Doi got mad at me. He's going to be the ugliest model at Blade, but I'll try and finish him. Hopefully I'll have my Kit Bash Brotherhood champion ready too, but I don't want to reach too far. I mean, you know, go large. Go large or go home, right? Yeah, so there's a painting competition that's happening in the area because the tabletop gaming scene has gotten big enough in the place that I live to have it. And one thing that they're doing is like a Warhammer-themed painting competition. And so, they have two size for model entries. One of them is monster and one of them is unit. And I'm honestly not sure how big each of those go because they didn't give us like a base size or anything. So I've got a couple. Yeah, he's got a ton of details. I don't know how much you follow 40K, Warhammer 40K at all, but one thing you will find out about it if you ever get into it is there is an unnecessary amount of trim and greeblies and just ridiculous parts that you need to fill in, or can fill in. I take that back. You don't need to fill in anything. And with this guy, he's supposed to be the leader of the Chaos faction of Space Marines named Abaddon the Despoiler. And so he's got to be like a really nice looking centerpiece unit. Oh no. The camera lagged. There we go. The camera is continuing to lag. I hope that doesn't mean I'm about to lose camera connection. Okay, no, it's caught back up. But yeah, so there's a lot to him. I'm kind of scared to do the face because I want to do the thing where you have like the red aura behind him, the red light, but I don't know how to do that, so I'm kind of putting that off. I think I was supposed to do like an airbrush spray before I put his head on, but I definitely did not. So I'm just slowly building up these little details and this little light around the spots that would get light. Do I want to enter Catherine or Abaddon as my big piece for the contest? Honest to goodness, I do not know. I'm going to have to find out exactly what they consider to be a monster and what they consider to be a single unit. Like, I think I want to do my Imperial Fist Chapter Master as my single character if they have to be that small. If not, it might be Abaddon. And, depending on what they consider a monster, I might either do Gazkul Thraka, or I might ask for you to... I'll text Mike for you. That's nice. I got into watching Tabletop Times videos over the last year. I know very little. As neat as the Warhammer game is, I'm far more interested in the lore, which is why the painting really got to me, because it's like I get to paint these cool people that I've read about in the stories. And yeah, Abaddon was the first captain to Horus of the Luna Wolves and then Sons of Horus. He followed him into the rebellion, and when Horus died, he kind of took over the mantle as the leader. I really messed this section up. Hopefully I can salvage this. Of Horus's forces, and created what was essentially the Black Legion, which was it's the black and gold trimmed Chaos Space Marines. But honestly, everyone does Abaddon in black, or they make him into a custom chapter master, or whatever. And I didn't want to do either, so I'm painting him in his old Sons of Horus colors. because I like them more. They're like this neat seafoam green that I'm trying to emulate, and unfortunately I really messed up the highlight on the shoulder, so I'll have to redo that in a second. But yeah, I think the character I'm neither here nor there about. He's fine for what he is, which is, you know, a villain for the tabletop games, but the model's just too neat and I had to paint it. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do right now, as I also try not to, like, go too harsh in the layers for the highlights. Because that's something I've learned over the past year or so, is that if you go too harsh, you kind of ruin the effect of the highlight. Oh yeah, I forgot that that Blade was basically judging this thing. I actually wonder who they do have judging it, because I probably made a mistake by posting progress pics of Abaddon to the hobby chat that they have on their website or on their Discord. But that's okay. Okay, that highlight looks a little better. I forget which one is tabletop time, because I know I think Play on Tabletop is the one that's like 40k in 40 minutes, and I forget what tabletop time does. Are they the ones down in Australia that do the really cool project videos? I honestly don't remember. And yeah, this shoulder pad is making me sad. I don't like how it's turning out. What can I do here? I might just need to go ahead and redo this entire thing. Okay, yeah, I remember them. They're super neat. I think my wife knew one of them from some other crafting thing they were doing, but they definitely do some cool stuff with the Warhammer as well. I especially like them because Warhammer already has an issue with problematic fans, and it seems like most of the YouTube content creators that do crafting and whatnot, they tend to be very chill and very cool. So just knowing that they're helping spread the brand without being awful about it makes me happy. Okay, so now we're going to do the back right here. Yeah, the actual playing of Warhammer makes me sad because it seems like it could be a really cool game, but because they've had to give it, like, complexity, it's become really difficult to play in a short period, or it's become really difficult to play, and the game has started to gear too much towards playing a certain competitive way that doesn't feel like Warhammer, you know? They're part of Jazza Stews. That's it, Jazza, that's the guy's name. If I remember right, was he the one who made, like, the Space Bear armor for a custom chapter? It's been so long since I've seen those videos. But he 3D printed, like, an entire claw, which was meant to be like a Horus's claw, but more bear-themed, if I recall properly. Because actually, I don't know if I remember if they said it in the video, but this is what the claw was referencing, was the claw or the talons of Horus, which after he died, Abaddon took, which is why he's got him now. Okay, that's actually turning out pretty okay. And I think he put the STL up for download, and I think I haven't downloaded it because it's really big and really expensive. But I've definitely got it in my shopping cart because I want to have a power claw. Almost as badly as I want to have a power fist. But yeah, one of the things that I have really enjoyed about this hobby was just the freedom and the creativity to be able to do stuff like that, because that's heckin' neato. I don't remember, did he actually go to, like, it did look familiar, right? Yeah, it's one of the more iconic pieces of 40k equipment. Because power claws are a thing, but none of them are as big and stupid as this giant grippy talon. And I love it for it. I don't remember, I feel like he also made more than just that. Like, he did more with the 3D printer. I don't remember if he made a helmet, or if he made armor, but I remember he did something. But yeah, Dova, what are you planning? Are you planning on entering Bellicor? I know that much. Are you planning on going back over some of your older models and touching them up and seeing if there's one worthy of a competition? Because that's always a choice you have. You don't have to do a brandy new model and try and make it look all pretty. You can definitely take an older one that you like. Yeah, he does do a lot of stuff. That is true. If I remember right, he got a Thunderhawk gunship, which was one of the big ones, and he made it Space Bear themed. The actual gunship is several $100s. So kudos to him for turning it into something even cooler. I think that'll read okay. Okay. But yeah, I'm kind of sad that Doig Swift have modified their hours because of the new job, because I definitely can't watch them anymore while they're live. Because they're starting at like 2 a.m. my time. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with how the new librarian is turning out, but we'll see. That is true, you could enter that guy. If you really like him, then why not show him off? Okay. I did a librarian too on it. Yeah, I did a librarian too, and he looked okay. He didn't turn out like I hoped because I don't have inks. And if you really want to make those power runes look good on him, you need to have inks. When I did them, they look stupid, and so now he's hiding in a box somewhere. Okay, I think... Well, no, I should probably do the top, shouldn't I? But I think the highlighting is working, and it's definitely making his armor stand out a little more. What I might do to bring some of it back down, though, is I might thin down some of the dark blue that I have and start putting that into the shadow edges. And mayhap that'll really bring it back down in some of the darker areas. Because he kind of has lost his shadow now that I've got so many highlights on him. Kind of dabbed some contrast on a sponge and wiped the excess away. Didn't turn out super great, but made them pop a little bit more. Yeah, and I think he looks pretty good. I only got a really quick look at him on the Discord, but I thought he looked pretty darn good as far as I was concerned. Okay, so this is just like a really dark blue that I've watered down with some flow improver, which hopefully breaks down the cohesion a little bit. The giant scenery board with Titans. Good gravy. Yeah, that is one thing. I don't think I've seen him do that one. I know that, whatchamacallit? What are their names? Oh, Squidmar. Squidmar did that too. They bought 2 Warlord Titans, which are the biggest ones available on the tabletop, that are each like $2,000. And, they made one of them like kick the other one down, and they made this big diorama for it. And they used, I think, like 40 liters of resin or something. You're super happy with the Termi boxes. The Termi boxes of somebody leftovers because it really lets me add the Grey Knight feel to the standard Termi librarian. That is true. That is something you get to do that I didn't get to do. I just kept mine kind of like... This came out of the box looking like this. Okay. Hopefully, this will help with the shadows a little bit. That's where I feel like I'm starting to lose the darkness of this character's outfit, is the shadows are kind of still that light green, and that's really not showing up the way I want it to. So hopefully, knocking it back down will help a little bit. The other problem I'm having is that I'm very nearsighted, and I have astigmatism, so a lot of this is coming through very blurry in my eyes right now. Now my hope is that I'm not going to make this too dark or too thick and kind of ruin the work I've done. Nope. Okay, it's drying pretty clear, so that's what I want. Very nice translucent thin layers. Okay. And then, I suppose I gotta tackle all of this trim and make all of this non-metallic metal gold, because I am not using any metallic paints on the lad. all of this, and I do mean all of it, is going to be non-metallic metal. And I'm kind of scared for myself. Kind of getting me the color I want. Almost looks minty. That's something, speaking of stream times, it's past 1 a.m., so you'll probably sleep. That's fine. Go to bed. Go to sleep. Your brain needs that. I appreciate you stopping by to say hi. It was very nice of you. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, I think the next thing I really need to do on this guy is the top of his Terminator bits, the back, and then his helm, or his, Let's see more updates of Abios. Yeah, I am going to continue posting updates. Every time I finish with one of these, I do progress pics. And I've been posting a little bit of my non-stream paintings, but who knows. Thank you. Have a good sleep. So, oh, you can't even see that. This is going to go... And I guess that's just going to go all the way across. So that's a question for you, Mommy Dova. When are you going to try and do a non-metallic metal? You got all them Grey Knights. You have plenty of chances to try non-metallic metal. Oops, that wasn't even on camera. Because even bad non-metallic metal is worth a shot, just so you can kind of see how it's supposed to work. And it's one of those things where, like, really pushing yourself is what's going to make you better. And what better way to push yourself than a stupid flex like non-metallic metal? Because that's all it is. Anyone who says non-metallic metal is anything other than a stupid flex, I don't even know how to try non-metallic metal. Well then, it's as good as time as any to learn. Non-metallic metal is what you see in paintings all the time. What you see in, like, fan art and character art all the time. If a character is wearing metal and the painting is not metallic, then it's non-metallic metal. And that was something I had to learn, and I started paying a lot more attention to when I saw fan art of characters and paintings and the like, is that, oh, they had to do non-metallic metal for these pieces. And that really greatly improved my appreciation of both painting and of non-metallic metal. Yeah, I think I'm going to dull him back down, because I think in some places his brightness got a little too much. But for now, what he's doing, he's fine. Go ahead and hit the corners right here with some of that. I think that might be the problem, is I really should save these ultra white highlights for, like, areas where they'll have the most impact. Doing them across the entire model might not be a good idea. Okay, so yeah, he is not this bright in real life. He is actually a lot darker, but because I have so much heavy light on him, the camera is compensating, and it's definitely making him look a lot brighter than he needs to. Yeah, I think, unfortunately for me, non-metallic metal is next on the list. I'm going to go ahead and get that working on. So the way you do non-metallic metal, especially with gold, is you start with, like, a dark... There it is. A dark brown base. And then depending on whether you want the metal to be warm or cold, you can either move to, like, an orange color or straight into a yellow. It's all about light placement, which is a really dumb thing to say, because saying it's all about light placement is kind of like saying boxing's all about punching the other guy in the head. It's a gross oversimplification for a very complicated technique, if you catch my drift. So in this case, I'm going to try my best to do it, and hopefully it will turn out looking okay, especially on a model of this importance. But what you kind of got to think about is, where do you think light would reflect off of that piece of metal based on how that individual is standing, right? And like I said, that's where things get weird. And it requires a lot of practice, which I don't have. So I'm trying to get more of. So I guess, I don't know, I guess I'll start on this freaking demon head thing he's got here. On his knee. I'm going to try and hit all the areas that look like the light would catch off them. Which is done almost like dry brushing, to be completely honest. By doing these super light strokes. And only catching the raised parts of the metal. And generally you start with a lot of coverage. And work your way down to very little coverage as you're only hitting the highlights. And it requires a ton of layers if you're trying to get super detailed, super smooth non-metallic metal. But if you're trying to just get non-metallic metal, you can do it in like 3 coats. And unfortunately for me, I am not talented enough to do it in only 3 coats. So I'm going to futz around with it until hopefully it looks something like non-metallic metal. And I suppose we shall see. Okay. So after I do that, I've got to start mixing in yellow. In this case, a very warm yellow. With the brown to make this kind of ugly mustard brown color. And then that ugly mustard brown color kind of hits a lot of the same spots, but only in lesser amounts. And what that'll eventually do as it gets brighter is it'll start looking more like light and less like ugly mustard yellow. And honestly, if I don't like it, at the very least I can kind of repaint it and redo it. Because these are all very thin coats. Hopefully he's on camera. He is on camera. Fantastic. But yeah, non-metallic metal difficult. But like I said, it really helps you level up as a painter with your skills, because it makes you focus on things you're probably not normally thinking about when you paint, and then you start thinking about them with things that aren't non-metallic metal, and that can really help how the rest of your paint job looks. So even if it's not a style you want to learn, it's one that I suggest you practice anyway, so you can start learning better about like light and perspective. But of course, if you're not painting your armies or if you're not painting minis to make them look really pretty, you just want not just want to, that sounds demeaning. If you're here to paint your minis so that you can play a cool tabletop game, then disregard everything I just said. Because you're under no obligation to make your minis look quote-unquote pretty, you know what I mean? The only obligation you have is to yourself. Make your minis look the way you want them to. Anything is better than gray. Except for, you know, fascist symbols and whatnot. Those are not better than gray. I'd rather you don't play with minis if you're going to do that. But that's just me. Okie dokie. So the next thing, we go straight to this yellow. It's going to look very odd because this brush is too wet. I just say I put the gray in Grey Knights and call it good. Fair enough. So my understanding actually is that like ceramite armor is noted as being gray, and that's actually a reference to them being you know, unpainted sprues. And I kind of really dig that a lot. I think that's very silly. So the Grey Knights aren't actually in gray armor. They're clearly wearing like silver armor, which is cool and all. But like unpainted Space Marine armor before it gets painted to its designated chapter, you're hating Bellacor's wing membranes. Dry brush them. Get a big sloppy brush and paint them a color that you want to be like the undercolor, and then dry brush the shit out of them. Dry brush is your friend on Bellacor. He's got so many textures. Like, he is the perfect model to dry brush. Okay, this Imperial Fist yellow is definitely coming in looking different on Abaddon's leg. I'm doing a Black Templar base, and I'm going to go through a couple dry brushes. That's a good idea. Depending on what colors you want them to be. Honestly, I'd probably start with like a red and then work my way up to a pink, but that's just me. I'll work my way almost up to a white, or whatever. But you do whatever you want to do. One of my friends that I met via some other friends actually did a Diablo style, getting past the change in the skulls. Well, I think you were supposed to put those on after you painted him, but that's just me. I'm just a small-town country lawyer. Okay. Go ahead. Get some pale sand. Actually, no, yeah, some pale sand should do it. Shake that up. You know what? Ice yellow. We're going gold, we're going ice yellow. Which in this case, I think is actually Dorn Yellow? Yeah, I'm using a layer paint called Dorn Yellow, which actually looks and presents as like an ice yellow. So that's what's going on next. Once I get this huge paint cap off the end of the nozzle. That's what's going on next beyond the Averland Sunset. Because the Averland Sunset is definitely coming through as a much darker color than or a much lighter color than I expected. What I'm actually going to do is some transition. I got some more of that brown. I'm going to take some more of that brown and really put it all around this thing. Which is even crazier to look at for me because I'm not using a lighter brown than I originally used for the shadows. That's just how it ended up looking against like the dark blue that I had there. Okay, now we're going to take some of this ice yellow and mix it in with probably a little bit of everything. Probably more of the other yellow. The Averland Sunset yellow needs to go in there. And now I'm going to go ahead and only do the highlights. And unfortunately, I'm not really liking how this is looking. But that's okay, because I can always redo it. I think, unfortunately, this gold ended up being just a little too cold for me, which is then ruined by the fact that I used a dark, or a very warm yellow. So I might redo this and add some orange to it. And that should hopefully bring back some of the warmth to the actual gold. I keep forgetting that the camera is much higher than my normal painting stance. Okay. That in. There. Over there. Okay. Right there. Yeah, I'm kind of getting there. A little bit more ice yellow into the Averland Sunset. Now, I will say, one of the weird things about working at the job that I'm currently at, working at the Geek Squad, it's definitely been seeing a whole bunch of former students from when I was teaching. Because over the past few months, I've definitely seen like a half dozen students who've all recognized me and all seem to be pretty happy to see me. And I thought that was pretty cool. And it was kind of funny because they would ask, why aren't you teaching anymore? And the only answer I could really give them was, well, I had too much stress and I had to stop teaching because it was affecting my health. And every one of them have been like, Yeah, that's understandable. It's just like, dang. School that bad for you? And then I remember who some of them were, and I'm like, oh yeah, I guess it was. Okay. Again, highlights on the highlights. All I'm really doing is brightening. You're one of the more liked teachers there. Well, I appreciate it. It felt like I was decently well liked by the people who knew me. But, yeah. Couldn't do it no more. My body was like, no, not allowed. Which really sucked because, the things I did have fun with there, I really did have fun with, but once I stopped teaching and I started getting to see what my health was like outside of teaching, it was just like, oh, this is how you're supposed to feel about your job and your day-to-day. Because that was the weird part. Okay. I think that's starting to look a little better, but I also think that to some extent, I'm kind of fighting myself here because both the brush and the angle are not being very conducive to what I'm trying to do. So I'm just going to keep pushing it and seeing what I can do and what I can get away with in terms of making it look more like a gold. We're starting to get into that really light area because this ice yellow almost looks like a white against some of the stuff I'm doing, which is kind of the point. I've now transitioned to pure ice yellow, and it's definitely creating a much brighter effect than it would have otherwise. And that's the power of color theory. And honestly, what I'm doing is also not especially high-tech. I'm just kind of following where, like, the highest point is on each part of this mini. And it's doing an okay job of giving the illusion of a highlight, which is kind of, again, the point. One thing my wife told me when I was painting was that art is all about lying to your eyes. And I had never really thought about it that way, but it is pretty true. I'm trying to convince my eyes that what he's wearing is a golden demon, a golden demon accoutrement over his knee. So that's what I did, and by and large it reads, I guess. I'll have to take a look at it again when it's not under all the studio lights, and hopefully it will continue reading as such. And one thing I am going to do is add just a little bit more warmth to everything by mixing in some watered down yellow and brown. And hopefully that might add a little bit more of that oomph that I was looking for. Okay. Next I gotta do the rest of his leg. I tried to do the knee first because I felt like that would be a good demonstration of the gold stuff. And it looks okay. But now I gotta do the rest and make the rest of it look okay. So that's what's happening. And then I gotta go back and clean it up later. Hit some of the high spots. There we go. There we go. So again, this is a combination of just kind of a flat brown and Averland Sunset Yellow, which is kind of a golden brown. Oh, that's a lot yellower. I mixed a lot more in that time. Okay, so go ahead and do some more of that. Just slowly build that up. thing over here, though this part is also going to be obscured in shadows, so I don't need to hit this one as hard. I should probably get a little bit of that. And hit some of this over here. And there we go. And I think I'll also hit this little spot down here where his leg is, or where his foot has this, like, trimmed boot on it. Hopefully it's still visible. I honestly can't see what I'm doing on the camera because A, it's too far away, and B, I don't have any glasses on. So, like, everything looks okay to good from here. And hopefully, once I start making money again and I eventually buy myself a stupid gaming rig, I'll be able to change that. Same with kind of my microphone setup. A little bit more of the yellow. Try and make this transition a little smoother than I did on the knee, because it's actually been a while since I've done it. I've tried like an earnest attempt at non-metallic metal gold. I've gotten real sloppy with it, and I've just said, fuck it, dry brushing. And I've just been dry brushing a lot of these guys into a gold-esque appearance, and it's worked remarkably well, but I don't think that's going to fly for, like, a painting competition. So this is my, hey, I'm actually trying attempt at non-metallic metal. Gold. And hopefully, it's turning out okay. But yeah, I'm kind of hoping that even though I'm going to have less hours at the new job to actually, like, do other things because I'm working more hours there, that between me liking the job more and getting my weekends back at some point, I'm going to actually have time to work on my VPO setup and really try and have some fun with my Twitch stream. I think also, unfortunately, that a big reason why I started the Twitch streaming was as an escape from my last job. So the fact that I'm not trying to escape my job anymore means my desire to Twitch stream has gone down tremendously. Though I will admit, there's nothing really to admit, I enjoy talking with people and showing people stuff and hopefully being somewhat entertaining. Okay. That leg is turning out good. At least I think it is. We're going to do a little bit there. A little bit around the ankle. And now we have a slightly blocked in gold what you call it, gold leg thingy. Okay, and now we're going to transition into just straight Averland Sunset for some of the highlights. We'll see how that goes. Because every layer is a little less than the previous layer. Which is kind of the idea. Because you're just starting to hit like more increasingly concentrated spots on the mini. You know, kind of how light concentrates on one spot. That's generally what we're going for here. I have decided, though, I am not doing this shit on the Stormcast Eternals. Because I bought the Scaventide box set, and there's no way on God's green earth I'm going to try and do non-metallic metal for each of the Stormcast Eternals. That just seems like a great way to punish myself. I might do something wild and crazy with them, in terms of just being a little extra, but nothing to that degree. I tried that with the Custodes, and I got burnt out really fast. I still have part of my Custodes Combat Patrol that's just sitting there. Because I've had a severe aversion to going back to finish the first layer of Black Templar. Woot, good job, congrats. But yeah, I haven't finished my Custodes yet. I haven't finished my Sisters of Silence. I haven't finished the bikes. So I've got like 800 points of Custodes that are like very partially painted. and I feel like I should finish them since they've been a project for a while. You've been having a blast with the Catolos, but you also do Custodies, but you also do metallic metal. Yeah, that makes them easier, and it get, especially because of how they're made, it gets such great results. Like Custodies in metallic metal gold look fantastic. I think the problem was since I basically cut my teeth on non-metallic metal on them, since they were my first big project after Gilliman, it just became abject torture trying to make it look good because it always looks wrong when you're working on it. You know what I mean? You kind of have to trick yourself into saying it looks okay until you're done, and then suddenly it does look okay. Because until then, it looks like absolute dog water, and you just hate it. It's one of those trust the ugly face things. Which, to be completely honest, is kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm not super happy with how this non-metallic metal is turning out, but I guarantee you when I finish it, I'm going to love it. Silver dry brushing over the gold makes it look so good. I've only done the Blade Champ and the Terminators, though. Yeah, but the rest of them are going to look that awesome, too, because you found a technique that works, and works real good. Terminators are my favorite Warhammer thing easily. I love Terminators. Terminators are fuck awesome. They're way overdeveloped. They're too big and chonky. They've got that, like, goofy hippo head. Well, some of them do. And then you really see them coming at, and you're like, oh, that hippo head is actually terrifying. Which is exactly like real hippos. I dig Terminators so much. It's made it difficult for me, actually, to have my... I originally made a Gravis Captain. My Chapter Master for my Imperial Fists. And I even gave him, like, my favorite head in all of 40k. Because the dude has such, like, a ridiculously pompous facial hairstyle. But then I saw the Terminator Captain, and then I saw Belial, and it was just like, I don't like the Gravis anymore. I like Terminators. And to add to it, it's made me not want to run Gravis anymore. I have a set of Aggressors, and I have, like, the Eradicators, but it's just like, why can't we have versions of that but Terminators? You love the Grey Knight Termies and their Knight helmets? Yeah, those look really good, too. I can definitely see why you went, Dark Angels, because if you like that knightly look, then that is right up your alley. If I remember right, weren't you considering also going Black Templars at one point? Because they also kind of had that that knightly appearance going about them. Oh no. One moment. Wet palette is drying up. Come on, wet palette. Saturate. Wow, it really was drying up. There we go. Much better. You were considering Templars, but then you went with Custodians and the big box set. I mean, that's definitely a way to do it. I kind of wish, and I think we've talked about this before, but I kind of wish they had actually made some of their vehicles plastic, because right now they really do feel like kind of a clunky army to play. But then again, so do Grey Knights. Hopefully, Grey Knights get something big and mean soon, because their Dread Knight is kind of carrying their army. Okay, and same thing here. If you notice, I'm not putting a whole lot of very heavy white highlights on him, or ice yellow highlights, and the whole point, you play two of the very goofy armies. I don't know, man. You don't play orcs, so you can't be that goofy. And you don't play Emperor's Children. Though when they are an army, I am definitely getting some of those for myself. I want an Emperor's Children army. Really bad. I want to have Hedonism bot the army. And yes, I know they're much, much worse than Hedonism bot will ever be, but that's what I think of whenever I see them. Dread Knights, Librarians, and Drago are the takes. So yeah, you've definitely played a lot more Warhammer than I have at this point, because you've been playing in those escalation leagues. Which I think is kind of funny. So as far as I'm concerned, that means you'd beat my ass if we were ever to play the game, because you actually know how to play your armies, and have had some time, like, honing some strategy. So how have the escalation leagues been going for you? Now that you've really gotten a chance to play 10th edition 40k. The Libbies are stupid strong, and even at 100 points, 120 points, it's still take 3. That doesn't surprise me. When they don't have a whole lot competing for that spot either, it definitely doesn't surprise me that they're kind of pushed right now. Okay. And like I said a minute ago, trust the ugly phase, because that non-metallic metal gold looks really freaking good! You're 6'3"? Good job, man. Congrats. Yeah, I'm gonna sing my praises for a minute. That turned out a whole lot better than I was expecting. Look at that gold. Badoom, 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 badoom. Karate kick. Abaddon karate kick. Okay, I'm done with that. Yeah, I lose more Warhammer games than I win. I also don't play a lot, so it makes sense that I'm not very good at it. I think about it a lot more than I actually play it, and then when I play it, my brain gets overwhelmed. Because there's a lot of upkeep that you gotta do mentally. Lost 1,000 Sons of Orcs and something else I can't remember. Just say Imperial Fist to make me feel better. But yeah, so, is the Escalation League is basically doing tournament rules, right? It's not a narrative campaign, so, it's more about, like, playing to your objectives and getting your secondaries and the like. That style of gameplay has like, severely... My interest in it has decreased severely over the past, few months, as I've realized that I don't care about that style of game. And I'm glad that it exists, because it definitely gives you a clear boundary of what you're supposed to do and how the game is supposed to be played, for playing against people you don't know. But it's like, I got into Warhammer not because I love the mechanics, I got into Warhammer because I love the story. And so if we're playing a game that kind of... it doesn't use the story at all, or uses it very minimally in favor of the gamesmanship of the game, then I'm not too interested in it. At some point, though, I'm probably going to join an Escalation League. Or I don't know, at some point, if they do a narrative campaign at Blade, I'm going to scream like a small child join. Grey Knights versus Demon, but no one plays demons? That sucks. So what are the armies at Blade? You mentioned Orcs, you mentioned Thousand Sons. I know there's you. I think I know someone there played Knights, because you played them in the last Escalation League. An AOS Spearhead League. Yeah, see, I'm not super interested in that, because I don't care about Age of Sigmar. Like, I bought some of the minis because I'm interested in building the models, and playing it is eventually going to be fun, but I don't really care about the story of it, and the story is what drives me to be interested, you know? What I could maybe do is I could maybe actually build my Death Guard army, because right now most of it is 3D printed. So I could potentially join an Escalation League. There's 6 Orc players? Good lord. Whole lot of Space Marine players, 3,000 Suns players. The balance in this league is very not good. Though I'm not going to shame anyone for playing the armies they want to play. Okay, I guess I gotta come in with either my Death Guard or my Sisters of Battle, and, represent some variety. But I've also got to find the time. I'm the one major Grey Knight player, but there's a new guy recently started playing. You've been teaching him. That's really cool. knowing that you've like gone from being, oh, I'm learning about this game, Mr. Benry, and I don't know much about it, and I've been trying to like be like, oh yeah, there's this and this, and now you like know more about the game than I do. There's Tau, of course. Glad to see that Tau is in there. But yeah, it's really cool seeing how much you've learned about it and how you're kind of the senior head of Warhammer now between the two of us because you've definitely played the game a lot more than I have. And you've actually been part of a meta. So you know how the game plays and you know how, at the very least at a local level, what people are playing. But yeah, I think you've kind of convinced me to go ahead and go either Sisters of Battle or Death Guard. Though if it goes Sisters of Battle, I gotta spend some more money because I don't have. I know more about Grey Knights, and that's about it. I've been playing them for about 7-8 months straight. Good lord, I can barely commit to playing like one game every few months. That's very impressive. And I think part of it is just that I'd rather play with friends than play tournaments. Though admittedly, I have wanted to play tournaments. Like what you're doing with the Escalation League. There's 2 Sisters players? Okay, well then I guess it's Death Guard. Man, how many people are playing in these leagues? Because it sounds like you've got at least let me see. He said like 6 Orc players, 2 Grey Knight players, that's 8. 3,000 Suns players, that's 11. A boatload of Space Marines, so we'll just guess 5. 15. 2 Tau, or a Tau player, 16. About 20. Good gravy. Originally, so have those numbers swelled, or have they decreased as people have been busy? If these swelled, I really might have to start thinking about joining these leagues. Because like I said, I am interested in playing. I'm interested in just getting a chance to move plastic across the table with the armies I have. Though admittedly, most of my plastic is 3D printed. They've dropped a bit. People had to bow out because of life. The true enemy of all tabletop games, scheduling. Okay. A little bit up there, a little bit up there. Still got like 14-ish people. That's still a lot. Like I said, as soon as I start getting time to play, I'm definitely going to have to think about it, but for the foreseeable future, I am going to be working like 7 days a week as I try to recoup all the expenses from kind of living paycheck to paycheck for a while. Okay. Same kind of thing, just kind of lightly brushing over some of these areas. Getting ready to move into the final round of the league before the end of league tournament. I'm glad to know that the Warhammer community is thriving in our city. I've probably doxed myself already a bunch of times, but I'm going to try and keep that to a minimum now. I know that, I'm going way too low. I know that my 2 buddies haven't really had time to do any of the Warhams. One of them is kind of mentally checked out of it, just because he got really frustrated with his AdMech army. And actually, he ended up selling a lot of it to me. I now have a little under 1,000 points of AdMech. And, it was primarily so he didn't have to sell it. Because I'm never getting rid of them. Yeah, those 2. Space Wolves / Alpha Legion player is, actually I can just call him by his handle here. Semajolis is, I haven't actually talked to him much. He kind of had a very self-contained summer, so I haven't seen or heard much from him. And, Soft Servo, who is Mr. S, has been busy with his own stuff. He's actually on his way out of teaching too, because he had his aha moment last year that thankfully wasn't as jarring and traumatic as my aha moment. But they're both kind of feeling some ways about work right now, and so I haven't seen much from them. Okay. Yeah, in terms of non-teacher buddies, funnily enough, at the place I'm working now, my immediate boss, my supervisor, he's always been interested in painting miniatures and Dungeons and Dragons and doing dioramas and whatnot. And so when he found out that, not the Tabletop Game Club, I know, right? Unfortunately, the Tabletop Game Club might not last much longer because one of the two teachers is leaving, and the other one, I'm actually not sure what he's doing. But, you know, it was kind of my baby, and I'm glad that it survived past me. So, hopefully some other teacher takes up the mantle and continues to use it. That was kind of supposed to be my legacy, was that I helped, like, you know, invigorate the area with a love for tabletop gaming and D&D. And I have no idea how well that actually went, but I like to think that I had a positive impact there for the 10 years I was there. Okay. So, the right leg is definitely looking a lot jankier than the left leg, and it's a lot of because of positioning, and just me having a hard time getting to it. So hopefully, it'll all pull together on the last layer or two. Mini looks firer. Thank you, Mr. Motorhead. It's been a while since I've seen you. How are you doing? I've been really stressed out with work, and so I have not been online. You said you got into Warhammer and CEDH after graduation. Completely understandable. But yeah, this is going to be a competition piece. There's going to be a competition this Saturday, this weekend, and while I do have other pieces entered that I want to enter, none of them have really made me think, yeah, I can win this. So, once I got my new job, once I found out that I got the new job, I got really excited and purchased some things for myself. And, once I started painting him, I was like, man, I could possibly enter this guy in the competition. He's looking good. So, that's kind of the plan with this Abaddon, is I want to enter him in the mini painting competition, because I really want that paint set. You generally paint with that Horus figure for a future com. I will be honest with you, I was genuinely thinking about asking you for that Horus figure for the combination of the 3D printed dreadnoughts and painting Gilliman. Because to be completely honest, after I would have priced everything out, between painting Gilliman to that level of detail that I did like the lion, and printing and giving you those dreadnoughts, it was basically around what Horus would cost, which is about $150. So if that's how you want to do it, I'm glad to do so. I'm basically going to paint him the same way I'm painting Abaddon right now, because I know that both Horus and Abaddon are wearing more black near the end of the Heresy, but I really like the seafoam green of the Sons of Horus. It took a while to grow on me, but I think it's an absolutely fantastic looking color. Oh, awesome, cool. I guess I'm about to get a Horus Ascended then. Because yeah, between, like I said, between the stuff that's 3D printed and that I'm giving you, and let me see, the lion was like $100. And I don't know if you remember, but we definitely talked about how it felt like you should have paid me more, and that you wanted to. But I don't know what your finances are like, so I didn't press the issue. Because I plan on doing something to that degree with Gilliman. I'm going to put him up on a plinth. I'm going to make him look glorious. That color with the non-metallic looks great. Doesn't it, though? Yeah, this is it's supposed to be Sons of Horus green, but I don't have Sons of Horus green, so I made it up. and I think I got close. It's actually a lot brighter because of the studio lights. It's a lot. It looks closer to the actual Sons of Forest green, so that's what I'm going with. And then the top non-metallic metal and the leather brown on here, it just all meshes so nice together. Now my goal is, like I said, to get them done by Friday. My brain is telling me that's not going to happen, but my heart is telling me to keep working on it. You forgot you were going to pay me more for that. That's fine. We agreed on a certain amount, and you paid me that amount. So anything more than that would have just been like a tip. And I'm perfectly okay with how much I was paid, because that's what we talked about beforehand, and that's what we all honored. I got the lion done in a week. I also wasn't working when I got the lion done in a week. At least I'm pretty sure I wasn't working. My biggest problem now is I don't have the same kind of time. I have all of tomorrow off. And so I plan on basically... I got all my chores done for the house on Monday. Except technically laundry. But I basically plan on spending a majority of tomorrow painting this guy. If I remember right, when did I do the lion? Actually, one moment, let me check on that. I'm curious now. When did I work on the lion for you? Because I keep all my stuff in a portfolio with dates on it. There's my redo of Boss Snickrot. Where is the lion? Oh, that's in 2023. I did lion. Yeah, I wasn't working when I worked on the lion. That was in March. I was training. I was taking morning classes. Self-imposed morning classes, and then using the afternoons kind of to myself. So I had plenty of time to work on the lion. I do not have plenty of time to work on this lad. Though honestly, he is turning out pretty good. For anyone just joining me, because I noticed I have far more people watching than I did a minute ago. If that ticker is right. I'm right now working on Abaddon, but I'm doing him in Sons of Horus colors, because straight black is boring, at least to me. And what I'm doing right now is non-metallic metal. And non-metallic metal in general, at least to me, is friggin' difficult. But the way to do it is just kind of start focusing your brighter colors where the light would most likely reflect on the material. And so I'm trying to create, you know, smaller and smaller focused areas of saturated color, which will eventually become almost a white through the use of ice yellow. And it's one of those things that you've really got to practice a lot, because then your brain will just start naturally filling it in, especially once you do it wrong a few times and your brain realizes that's friggin' wrong and looks terrible. So hopefully this will all turn out okay. Now, I'll be honest, what I am kind of worried about is I've still got to paint this chest plate, or this stomach plate, because it's supposed to be red, and I definitely plan on making it red. So I'm going to have to work around these arrows and hope that I can do that. But yeah, you can kind of see how it's getting increasingly saturated with these yellows. And eventually, as the area gets smaller, it's going to get whiter. Yeah, I'll be honest, the one regret I have about the lion is that whatever varnish I used on him really kind of spackled him a bit. And it's hard to notice, but in like the pic, and I also didn't get very good pictures of him. But like in the pictures you can really see the texturing of where the varnish hit him. And that just bugs the heck out of me, because I felt like I did an absolute killer job on that model. So having it get ruined by the sealant is really kind of a pet peeve. You know what I mean? But I mean, you were ecstatic when you saw him. I was ecstatic when I saw how he looked when he was done. So I don't have too much to be upset about. And also, that model was genuinely super fun to paint. So if anyone out there wants to get a fun model to paint, the lion's a fun model to paint. And it might just be my Space Marine bias, but I really enjoy painting like the character models for the Space Marines. They've made such an appealing like shape for all of them. It just looks good. So if anyone wants to spend like, I don't know, $70 on a model they could really kind of pour their time into, get Lionel Johnson. You can really pour time into Lionel Johnson. You're still surprised that I think Azrael is better than the Lion in terms of paint jobs? On a technical level, he is. In terms of like overall presentation, no. So like with the Lion, and I mean it's an eternal process. You never stop learning. But with the Lion, I was just starting to nail down my blending, and was just starting to learn how to wet blend and whatnot. Like the Lion was the first model where I put down a really dark base coat and then just slowly wet blended my way up to a slightly brighter color. Because he was actually like black and then a watered down glazed green black and then a watered down green highlight. And so in terms of actual technical ability, he was not super difficult. It was just a lot of patience. With Azrael, I actually tried like really hard to be technically good on a lot of the things I did with Azrael. And so my blends were smoother. I think my highlighting might have been a little tighter. So yeah, it was a lot of little things that you wouldn't notice until you really started looking at them and looking at them at a real technical level. Like Azrael's banner was a big one. That one took me a lot of time to actually get to look the way it did. And it may not show up really well, but since I was the one working on it, I really felt the effort of trying to blend and get the highlights on it and whatnot the way exactly how they were supposed to look for me. Okay. And actually, for those interested, I posted it in the Discord, but let me find Azrael. Well, actually, first, since we've talked about it quite a bit now, yeah, the pictures I got for Lionel Johnson are kind of booty. There he is. Window capture. Lionel Johnson. There's my Lionel Johnson. And he came across real shiny, especially because you still think Drago's your favorite model. He's amazing. I'm glad you like him. He is pretty cool. But yeah, that's the Lionel Johnson I did. And I was basically following the box art, which meant a lot of very small things. Again, he's non-metallic metal. I do think I did a good job on the sword, though. I think the sword looks really cool. So that's Lionel Johnson. And then, let me see. Actually, can I just cycle through? Because I did things with Lionel Johnson. The cloak, I think I could have done better on. There's not... the contrast doesn't hit the way I hoped it would. I went ahead and put the helmet on him. Put the hood on him because I magnetized the iron halo behind him. The hood with the helmet, which somehow retracts the wings. But yeah, the wings I was really happy with on that. But yeah, you can definitely see there was quite a bit of detail put into the lad. And I was pretty proud of him, but I've gotten better since then. At least I feel I have. Where is Azrael? Azrael, where are you? That's a custom chapter master. When did I paint your Azrael? There he is. Okay. Boom. That's Azrael. And like I said, on Azrael, especially with the robes, I was really proud of those, because getting a good, like, smooth blend on robe highlights is difficult. And I also think I did a better job on the blade. So, yeah, there was a lot of things that I think I did better with Azrael than I did with the Lion. The banner's another one. So, yeah. Again, it was just a lot of little technical things that I feel like I hit better with Azrael than I did with Lionel Johnson. Anyway. Okay. The fact that Lionel Johnson's such a big model definitely helps with the overall idea that he's a more impressive paint job, you know what I mean? There's a lot of detail squeezed into that model, and it's a fantastic model. I still want to get me one of my own, because if I were to do the paint job for him, I would have made his armor like a deep emerald green. but you specifically requested to look like the box, and I was like, bet! There's nothing ever wrong with back banners in 40k. I'm livid that they've slowly gotten rid of them. I feel like the back banners were part of what made 40k because who the frick runs into battle wearing a flagpole on their back? And the answer is these guys. But what you call it? Yeah, the one thing I am most proud about with Lionel Johnson, and that's something I think I mentioned to you, is that I've always wanted, like one of my dreams had always been to paint a model that looks like it does on the box. And you pretty explicitly requested that I paint a model that looked like the box. If they remove Drago's back banner when he gets a new model, you'll cry. Understandable. But yeah, the Lionel Johnson model was the first model that I ever painted that looked like it could have been box art. And so that he kind of holds a special place in my heart for that reason alone. Because that really signified to me that I was starting to get where I wanted to be with my mini painting skills. Honestly, given that they didn't remove it on Azrael, I highly doubt they're going to remove it on Drago. Like, he can't really go through the Rubicon. He is... Looks like you killed the Bucks. Well, I appreciate that. I don't necessarily think so, but I appreciate that you guys have all thought so. What I was kind of hoping is that, especially with how impressive he was, that would lead to more jobs and more commissions from other people, but it is what it is. I think what needs to happen is I need to start going there and playing and telling people, yeah, I do commissions, and then maybe I can start getting some. Yeah, they didn't remove Castellan Crows either. That's right, Castellan Crows either. Yeah, honestly, I'd like to take another crack at Drago. Same kind of thing. I would love to do him in non-metallic metal because he's, especially with silver, because I haven't done a lot of non-metallic silver, and it's a cool color. So I'd love to see if I could nail that. Because you specifically asked for both of them to be metallic metal, which was fine, because it meant I got to practice metallic metal, but it wasn't, it's not how I would have done it. You know? I keep wanting to get better at this non-metallic metal stuff just because it looks so good in presentation. And so kind of my goal... Actually, you know what? If I join the next Escalation League, I could just join it with Chaos Space Marines, because when I get a new Drago next year, you can have a crack at him. Let's hope they release him, because they are going to release more stuff with the Codex. But yeah, I could go ahead and do an Escalation League with Chaos Space Marines, because by no means am I going to have enough Chaos Space Marines to really start up, so I can just start buying it that way. And I can start doing Sons of Horus inspired Chaos Space Marines. Also, have you ever thought of working at Geek Squad? They pay better than where you're working now, I think. You get to be inside, get to work with technology all day. The only downside is that you have to talk to people. And even then, a large majority of them are perfectly happy to work with you because you're helping them. Drago still resin. If they don't update the resin War Master with the Codex, I'll continually lose my mind. That is true. Well, I'll put it this way. I was supposed to be the hire to fill a spot, and since I'm leaving, they're going to, or not really leaving, but I'm only going to be working weekends, they're going to have another spot. So I'll put it this way. If I hear about an opening for Geek Squad because of me reducing hours drastically, you will be the first person to know. Most of the people there are young, like in their mid-20s at the oldest. I think the one of the dudes there who is like the head front of house guy. He's in his early 30s, but he is super chill and trusts that you as an adult can do your job. It's genuinely one of the most positive places I've ever worked at. So I really strongly recommend, I would recommend it to anyone who has an interest in technology. I'll put it that way. What are you shifting to now? Weekends? Right now I'm only working weekends there. Well, I will starting in September because of the day job that I now have with the city. Because I got hired as a technical support specialist with the city. And that means that my Monday through Fridays are taken up with that job. So I don't have time to work with Geek Squad anymore. And they were already needed a person when I was hired. And I expected to be there a lot longer than I was. I wasn't expecting to find a new job so quickly. So they're gonna need someone to fill in for weekdays. You have zero experience in IT stuff? Well, to be honest, what you'd be doing up front is not IT stuff. It's more just computers in general. So if you've got familiarity working with like Windows and Apple, and you're also willing to learn, then you'll eventually kind of get the experience. Because I went in with very little knowledge of Apple since I stopped using their products about 10 years ago. And just kind of through slow assimilation, I've managed to become halfway decent with it. And if not, then I just ask people. And the rest of the coworkers want you to ask because you learning more means they have to do less. Everyone's got a real growth mindset there. And not in the stupid corporate way, just in the, if I help other people get better, then that means they can do more of the work without, and I will have to do less of the work. So it's a pretty darn good job if you're decent at working with people. I really hope I'm not accidentally... Oh man, I am rubbing off a little bit of the cloth. There we go. Okay. Warhammer has definitely improved your social skills. Well, between that and Magic, I would hope so. Again, they wouldn't just throw you to the wolves. You would shadow someone for most of your first couple of weeks. And, they have trainings that are, by and large, useless because they teach you a whole bunch of theory without practice. But you learn it quick. So yeah, if a job opening does present itself, there'd be no harm in applying. I'll let you know it's there. Especially with like the current influx, it looks like they're going to start needing more people because they're getting more hours. Who knows? Okay, so that's about as good as that's going to get. That needs to go a little bit more. Okay. Gonna add a little bit of ice yellow to the other end, and now we're going to start working on the highlights again. Because again, that's the biggest thing about this, is I can't just leave it at this mustard yellow. I need to start adding highlights, which will start tricking the eye into thinking that there's actual light reflecting off. And that's really the look that we're going for. Come on. There we go. There we go. Definitely looking for a way out. Was recently in the hospital because of a job injury where they had to get staples shoved in my head. Oh no, that's really bad. I'm glad you're okay. Yeah, that won't happen at a Best Buy. Only if you put yourself in a really bad situation, and most likely the other employees will yell at you for putting yourself in that bad situation. Okay. I will say the hours are definitely you know, personal preference. I like them because I generally work 10 to 6, which has been really nice. But in terms of being able to wake up a little later and spend the morning working on various things, whether it's household chores, maybe getting a little bit of painting done before work, or studying for certifications. But the getting home at 6 kind of sucks. Probably not much worse than what you're having to deal with. 9 to 5 is ideal. Yeah, Best Buy doesn't open until 10. So, unfortunately, that would be something you'd have to deal with. But yeah, okay, get a little bit more of that yellow in there. And so you can kind of see by here, sorry to go back to the painting stuff, but to get right here, you can see that I'm slowly adding more and more concentration of like the brighter colors towards the tip of the spikes, because that's where most of the light is going to hit off it. And that's the idea there, is keep adding more and more brightness to the highlights, because that's where most of the light is going to reflect off it. And that's the part that's going to be most exposed to the light. Okay. Let's see. Go ahead and hit that. Hit that. That. And there we go. I'm going to need a little bit more ice white, or yeah, ice white to brighten that up. So the very edges of it, it'll have that nice bright highlight. But by and large, that looks pretty good. I kind of wonder what other painters we have in the area that are going to finally like unveil their power level and produce the most amazing things at this weekend. Because honestly, I think I'm a pretty good painter, but there's no way in God's green earth that I am the best painter in the area. Or at least the one that would win the competition here. I'm going to try, but I would be absolutely gobsmacked if someone didn't just pull out all the stops and do something freaking amazing. Okay. Again, just kind of doing some highlights, making the gold really shine on those areas, and now the upper part is done. Somebody here is an someone supposedly there's a retired GW artist entry. Well, that's not fair. If you worked for the company, that's not fair. That's okay. I'm curious what they're going to put out there. I bet it's going to look amazing. Okay. Let's see. I think I've gotten a lot done with this guy. And honestly, I think what I am going to do is I'm going to knock down the gold a little bit with some like Seraphim Sepia, because it is definitely hitting really bright in some areas. Though, I don't know, maybe I will keep it like this. Either way, he is inching ever closer to done. After this, the chains, the metal parts, the pipes, the face is the one I'm most scared of. There will be a retired artist on the judge panel. That's pretty cool. That's really freaking cool. But yeah, I think I'm done for now. I've been streaming for about 2 hours almost. I would like to start streaming again on Tuesdays because my wife still does Dungeons and Dragons, and that means I have the evening to myself. And it is just really nice and chill. But yeah, this is what he looks like so far. I gotta say, I'm pretty jazzed with it. I'll take some pictures and post them in the Discord, and that way you guys can see how much different it looks compared to the over bright studio lights. But yeah, thanks for joining me. Let's see if we have anyone fun that we can raid. Ew. That's something I've always been bad at, is switching over to a raid. No, it doesn't look like anyone's online that I follow. Okay, well, let's go over to Warhammer and see if there's anyone painting some cool stuff. Oh, Morty and Glory's doing it. Who else is... Doesn't look like very many people are actually doing Warhammer. We got some people playing... Wait, 5 more channels. Yeah, it doesn't look like we have many people doing Warhammer. So I'm gonna... Ooh. Go over to the dungeon. Looks like they're painting some jams. Let's mute the dungeon line. Mute. They got some pretty colors in theirs. So, Morty and Glory, long live the guard. Are the Mortians the ones that dress really, really nice? Morty and Iron Guard? Because if they are, that was the Imperial... Yes, they are. That was the Imperial army that I wanted to do if I was to ever do an Imperial Guards army. They just look so darn good. Okie dokie. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead /raid. Let's see. Only got a couple viewers here, but that's okay. Oh, they're painting Admech. Looks like even better. Let's go ahead and do that. Thank you again for joining me, guys. I appreciate it. I had a lot of fun. Hopefully, I'll be back more often on the week. And I will see all of y'all later. Bye-bye. Raid.